2, 1, go. All right, 5.1 to 5.4 test review. I'm just going to go through this. This might end up being in 2 parts. It's kind of a long review. It might end up being in 2 parts. We'll see. I'm probably not going to get the whole thing done in one take. So, yeah, probably part 1 of maybe several. We'll see. All right, so we're just going to go through them. We've done this before. Just kind of, we'll go through them and see how you did. So, the first one, we've got the cubed root of 3r to the 4th, and it says write each expression in exponential form. So if we write this in exponential form, we're going to put the 3r inside parentheses. The exponent is our numerator. The index is our denominator. And there's the answer for question number 1. Question number 2. Same thing. We got the square root of 6x to the 5th. So we're going to put the 6x inside of parentheses to the 5th power. And remember, if there's nothing there, there's understood to be a 2 there. So this is going to be, to the 5. Let's try 5 halves instead. Let's try 5 halves. And there's your solution for number 2. And number 3, you're going the other direction now. Notice the 3p is inside parentheses. Since the 3p is inside parentheses, that means it's going to go underneath. The index is a 2, so I don't need to put anything there. And we take that to the 3rd power. And you are done. Next one, again, the 5 and the x are inside of parentheses, so that means they both go under. Our index is 4, and it's raised to the 7th power. There's the solution for that. Number 5. And number 5 is asking us to simplify. So we've got the cubed root of 24n squared. So I'm going to go ahead and break 24 down. It's 4 times 6. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So I've got 3 2's, so that means it can come out. We've got 1 3, so that means that it has to stay underneath. Now I've got n and n, so I don't have any pairs of n, so just n squared is going to stay underneath. So our answer is 2 times the cubed root of 3n squared. You're done. Number 6, square root 72, so that's 2 times 36. 36 is 6 times 6. And at this point I can stop because I have a pair. So I've got a pair there, so that means the 6 can come out. The 2 that's there, it doesn't have a partner, so it has to stay underneath. So that's 2 stays there. And I've got 4 b's, so b times b times b times b. I'm looking for pairing, so I've got 1 pairing, 2 pairing. So that means it's going to be b squared on the outside. There's our solution. Okay, the next one. We're going to break 162 down. So we break down one. So, okay, so number 7, sorry. Number 7. I don't know what's going on here. I think I'm like double recording or something here at this point. In 3, 2, 1, go. So number 7. So we've got the cubed root of 162p to the 4th. So 162, get out a calculator for that maybe. 162 divided by 6 works. So 27 and 6. 27 is 9 times 3. 9 is 3 times 3. 6 is 2 times 3. So we're looking for 3s. So there's one group of 3, so that can come out. Cubed root, we've got 2 and 3 that don't have partners. So since the 2 and the 3 don't have partners, 6 has to stay inside. If we look at the p's, we've got 4 of them. That makes one grouping, so 1 can come out. We've got 1 left. 1 stays underneath. You're done. Number 8, the square root of 36n to the 3rd. Well, 36 is 6 times 6, so there's a pairing. So that can come out. So it gives us 6. Now we've got n times n times n, so there's one pairing. It can come out. We've got 1 left. So we've got 6n times the cubed root of n. Number 9, negative square root of 12 plus 2 times the square root of 3. So remember, when you add, they have to have the same thing underneath the radical symbol. We can break 12 down. It's 4 times 3, and 2 times 2 times 3. So that's negative 2 radical 3 plus 2 radical 3, which is then just 0. Number 10, cubed root of 4, we can't do anything with. 108 divisible by 4. 108 divided by 4 is 27. So that's 4 times 27. That's 2 times 2, 3 times 9, 3 times 3. So we've got the original, negative 3 times the cubed root of 4 minus, looking for groupings of 3. So there's one grouping, so we've got to take 3 times the 2 that's on the outside, so that's minus 6, times the cubed root. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 3 minus 6 is negative 9 times the cubed root of 4. Remember, what's underneath that cubed root, when you're adding or subtracting, it stays exactly the same. You don't have to change it. Number 11. Negative 2 radical 5, nothing we can do with. The radical 20, that's 4 times 5. 4 is 2 times 2, so there's our partner. So we've got negative 2 radical 5. 2 times 2 is 4. Times radical 5. Radicals are the same, indexes are the same. 2 radical 5. Number 12. Fifth root of 3. Can't really do anything with that one. Holy cow, this is a big one. 96. Eek. 96 is 3 times 32. 32 is 4 times 8. It's 2 times 2. 2 times 4. 2 times 2. So we're looking for groupings now of 5. So the first one we're going to leave minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've got that 3 up there. So that's minus 6. We've got a 3 left times the cubed root of 3. Fifth root of 3, sorry. Negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8 times the fifth root of 3. And there's question number 12. That ends part 1. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right, number 13. Still has to simplify. We're multiplying, so I'm going to double check. Indexes are good. A couple ways you could do this one. You could break it down first, or you just multiply. And I'm just going to multiply them together. So 4 times 32 is 128. So we've got 5 times the cubed root of 128. And obviously, I know that's 4 times 32. It's 2 times 2, 4 times 8, 2 times 2, 2 times 4, 2 times 2. Lots of 2's. So looking for groupings of 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2, 3. And 1. So we got 1 left. So we go 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. So we're going to have 20 times the cubed root of 2. And that's your solution. And we're done. We'll go on to question number 14. Question number 14. Again, multiplying. It's going to take negative 3 times 2. It's negative 6. Indexes are both 3, so we're good to go. Cubed root of 12. 3 times 3. So that's 4 times 3. 2 times 2. We're looking for groupings of 3. There aren't any. So our final solution is negative 6 times the cubed root of 12. Number 15. Multiplying. So we have to FOIL. First, negative 5 times negative 1 is 5. Outside, minus 5 radical 3. Inside, negative 1 radical 3. And then last, plus radical 3 is plus radical 9. This right here is just 3. So combine like terms, 5 plus 3 is 8. These both have the same radicals. So it's negative 6 radical 3. Again, we're going to FOIL. Negative 2 times negative 2 is square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which I know is just 2, so I'm going to put that right there. Outside, minus 5 radical 2. Inside, plus 3 radical 2. And last is minus 15. So that's 2. Those are like terms, so minus 2 radical 2, minus 15. 2 minus 15 is negative 13 minus 2 radical 2. Number 17, now we're working on division. Remember, when we're dividing, we cannot have an end result that's dividing by a radical. So the way we get rid of dividing by a radical is we multiply both the numerator and the denominator by whatever that radical is, in this case, radical 5. When we do that on top, you get the square root of 10. On the bottom, you get radical 5 times radical 5, which is radical 25. But we know the square root of 25 is 5. That's your solution. And you're done. Number 18. Number 18, same thing. I'm going to look at the 5 and the 3, and you can't reduce it. So we need to multiply by whatever radical is in our denominator. And again, this is radical 3. So on the top, that gives us 3 radical 15. Radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9, which is just 3. And then those 3's cancel each other out, leaving you with radical 5. Number 19. Okay, so now we've got to multiply this by the conjugate. So the conjugate for 3 minus radical 3 is 3 plus radical 3. So we're going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 3 plus radical 3. Distribute on the top. That's 15 plus 5 radical 3. On the bottom, I'm going to FOIL it out down here below. 3 times 3 is 9. That's first. Outside is plus 3 radical 3. Inside is minus 3 radical 3, which is what we want to happen. That's going to go away. And then minus radical 9. Well, radical 9 is just 3, so we've got 9 minus 3. 9 minus 3 is 6. And that's your solution. Number 20. Again, we've got this binomial kind of down there, so we're going to multiply by the conjugate. So that's negative 1 minus radical 3. Leave the first term alone. Just switch the sign of the radical. Distribute. That's negative 5 minus 5 radical 3. That times that, that times that. This we're going to FOIL. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. And the inside terms are going to go away, so we'd have plus radical 3 minus radical 3, and then minus radical 9. So we've got 1 minus 3, so negative 2. And then since that's negative, we can change the signs of everything to get to our solution. And there's number 20. Number 21, directions now change. Simplify your answer. Should contain only positive exponents. Ooh, this is a big one. So multiplying. So when you multiply, you add exponents and multiply your numbers. So we've got 4 times 4 is 16. We know we're going to have an x in there, so we're going to add these. So we've got 4 thirds plus 5 fourths plus 3 fourths. Those are all my x's. I'm going to add those fractions together. Common denominator is going to be 12 for each of those. So that's the same as 16 twelfths. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. That's 15 twelfths. And that's 9 twelfths. Add all those together. Each 16. I think it's 40. Yeah, it's 40. So that's 40 over 12, which 4 goes into both of them, which is 10 thirds. And use your calculator for it as well. We'll change colors here for the y values. So we know we're going to have a y. For our y's, we've got 1/4. We've got 2, which is the same thing as 2 over 1. And we've got another 1/4. We're going to add all those together. So 4 is our common denominator. 8. So that's 10 fourths, which is 5 halves. And there's our solution. A lot of work for that one. It's a tough one. If you got to use your calculator, you got to use your calculator. The ABC button on your calculator is oftentimes pretty handy. Number 22, a little bit shorter now. 4 times 3 is 12. A, so we've got a squared and squared, so 2 plus 2 is 4. Yes. B, we've got 1/2 plus 1/2, which is just 1. Hey, that one is nice. Done. So when you add, you multiply, you add exponents. Number 23, now we're going to a power. Remember, when you go into a power, you multiply the exponents. So we got to go to the b, so there isn't anything. So it's b to the 1/3. A, now we have to do 2/3 times 1/3. Multiplying fractions is no problem. Take the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom. And that's your solution. Number 24, same thing. We're going to go 3/2 times 1/2, top times the top, bottom times the bottom, 3/4. Y is 2 times 1/2. Remember, it's 2 over 1, so that's 2 over 2, just 1. There's 24. Okay, we're moving along. Let's go down. Oh, I think we got to switch pages here. I'm kind of trying to move something around here, and there's nothing to move around. 25. Now we're going to work a little bit division. So when we divide, we subtract. So if we look at it, there's no number on the top, so we can just leave the number on the bottom. So we're going to have an x value. So we've got 4/3 for our x's and 2, so we're going to subtract 2. Common denominator is 3. And that's the same thing as 6/3. So that gives us negative 2/3. And then there's no y, so we're just going to leave it as in the bottom as 3/2. But now if you notice, we've got that negative exponent. We don't like negative exponents. So since we don't like negative exponents, the way we deal with that is we move it to the denominator and make it positive. There's number 25. Number 26. And we look at our numbers, not really anything you can reduce, so we'll just write them down. There's nothing at the m, so it's a 1. So we're going to go 1 over 1 minus 4/3. So our common denominator is 3. So that's 3 over 3. So it'd be m to the negative 1/3. And then n, switch colors here. N is going to be 1/2 minus 2/3. So our common denominator is 6. So that's 1/2 is the same thing as 3/6. 2/3 is the same thing as 4/6. So that gives us n to the negative 1/6. We don't like negatives. So the 2 is going to go on the top. The bottom is going to be 3, m to the 1/3, n to the 1/6. There's number 26. Number 27, back to multiplication again. Yay. So we multiply. So we've got negative 3/2 times 2, so that's 2 over 1. So that's negative 6 over 2, which is equal to negative 3. We'll just leave it like that for just a second. And then we've got negative 1/2 times 2, which is going to be negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So we've got both negative exponents. We don't like that. So we're going to go 1 over x to the 3rd, y to the 1st. You don't need to put the 1 there. I just did because. Number 28. So we have to distribute in there the 3/4. We've got a 3/2 times 3/4, 9/8. For the b value, we've got negative 3 over 1 times 3 over 4, which is negative 9/4. So we got negative 9/4, so we'd have b to the negative 9/4. Simplify that, that's a to the 9/8 over b to the 9/4. Solution for 28. Multi-step ones now. So we're going to multiply first. So that's going to be n. So we've got 7/4 times negative 2 over 1. So negative 14/4, which is negative 7/2. So I'm going to leave it there for now because we have to go times 1/3 times n to the 5/4. So now we have to add. So we've got negative 7/2 plus 1/3 plus 5/4. common denominator here is going to be, I believe, 12. 2 times 6, 6 times 7, so negative 42 twelfths. 3 times 4, 1 times 4 is 4. 3, so that's 15. So we've got n, negative 42 plus 19, essentially, is negative 23 twelfths. So that'd be negative 23 twelfths, which is 1 over n to the 23 twelfths. I'll check these out later. I think I'm going okay, but we'll check it later just in case. A lot of fractions in that one. Another one. So this is x, negative and negative is positive, so we've got negative 2 over 1 times negative 3 over 2, which is going to be 6 over 2, which is just 3, so it's x to the third, times x to the 1/2, so we add 3 plus 1/2. Common denominator is 2, so that's 6 over 2 plus 1 over 2, which is 7 over 2. You can use your calculator if you need it. $31. So we've got multiple things going on. We have to do this part first. So that's going to be 4x to the negative 1 over 2 times 3 is 6. And we've got to go 1/3 plus 2. So common denominator is 3. So that's x to the 6 plus 1 is 7. So x to the 7/3. Now we divide. So 4 and 2 have a common factor of 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And we're going to go x, and then we're going to go negative 1 minus 7/3. So common denominator is 3. So 1 is the same thing as this. So that's negative 10/3. We don't like that. So 2 over 3 times x to the 10/3. These are hard, but good practice. Okay. Again, lots going on the top, so we need to fix that first. So that's 12n. Then we have to go 3/4 plus negative 3/2. So that's 3/4 plus negative 6/4. So that's negative 3/4. All over n to the negative 2. So now we're going to go negative 3/4 minus negative 2. So minus and a minus makes a plus. So negative 3/4 plus 8 over 4. So that's 5/4. So 12n to the 5/4. And we're done. All right, let's go down to state translation and graph. All right, so we're going to state the translation, identify the domain and the range of each. So first look and see. We're optimizing. We've got a cubic. Okay, the translation is going to be negative 5, 0. So left 5, and then 0. Remember, it's the opposite of what's underneath the radical. So left 5, that's going to be kind of our starting point. And because it's cubic, it's going to go like that and like that. Like that. And anytime you have a cubic, the domain is all reals, and the range is all reals. Number 34. Again, it's cubic. I'm just using that to help me graph it. So we're going to go negative 3, 4 in this case. Opposite of what we see is our x value. What we see is our y value. So this is going left 3, up 4. That's the translation. So left 3 up 4, that's our starting point. It's cubic, something like that. Domain, because it's cubic, is all reals. Range, because it's cubic, is all reals. And the last page, holy reviews. Number 35. In 3, 2, 1. All right, number 35, same thing. We're going to graph it and find domain and range. So it's square root. It's not really in the form we like to, so remember what we did with this is we just kind of rewrote it and put the plus 2 on the other side. So our starting point, opposite of what we see and what we see. So we're going left 4 up 2. Left 4 up 2, that's our starting point. Now it's square root. So now our x values for our domain, our x values are going to be greater than or equal to -4. That corresponds to that one. Our range, y values greater than or equal to 2. Again, you just kind of get this from right there, and this from right there. Number 36, it's already in the form we like it. So -2, -1. So left 2, down 1. Like that. X value is greater than or equal to -2. Y value is greater than or equal to -1. This is our domain. This is our range. Next one, solve each equation. Remember to check for extraneous solutions. 8 problems left. So we've got one single, so we're going to isolate it. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So 64v equals 8. Square both sides. 64v equals 64. Divide both sides by 64, you get v is equal to 1. Check it. Square root of 64 is 8, -9, so it works. That's your answer. Number 38. Square roots on both sides. Since we have square roots on both sides, we're just going to square both sides. Everything's kind of isolated already. So we're just left with n plus 2 is equal to 4n minus 1. Subtract 4n. It's -3n plus 2 equals -1. Subtract 2. -3n equals -3. N is equal to 1. Square root of 3 equals square root of 3. It checks. Uh, 72. So number 39. We've got it isolated already, so we're in good shape there. So we're going to go ahead and square both sides. Squaring a square root means everything goes away. We have a quadratic. Since we have a quadratic, we need to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 72 and add x and put it in standard form. So 0 is equal to x squared plus x minus 72. Factor that, -72 and 1. So 9 and -8. Yep. So that's x plus 9 and x minus 8. So x equals -9, x equals 8. Now I'm going to plug them into the original. So it would be the square root of 72 minus a minus 9 equals -9. Big red flag right there. So that's not going to work. Plug in 8. 72 minus 8 is equal to 8. Well, that's 64. Square root of 6. Sorry about this. I don't know why it's doing this, but I do know why it's doing it because it's too low. Square root of 64 equals 8. That checks out. So there's your solution. And you're done. Number 40, I'm sorry. Isolate first, so add 2. So 3 is equal to the square root of n plus 4. We're going to go ahead and square it. So 9 equals n plus 4. Subtract 4. 5 is equal to n. 5 plus 4 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. Negative 2, it works. Number 41. Okay. We can think of that as square root. So we're going to isolate that part first. So we're going to add 9. So that 16 is equal to 4 times x to the 1/2. I just want to get that x by itself. So I'm going to divide by 4. So 4 is equal to x to the 1/2. Remember, when you get rid of exponents, all you have to do is multiply by the denominator, or take it to the power of the denominator. So 8 is equal to x. That's not right. 4 times 4 is not 8. 16 is, though. Those cancel, so you're just left with x is equal to 16. And that's your answer. It checks. 42, isolate it. We've done it already. Again, remember, we could rewrite this as v plus 30 equals 8. It's the same thing. Square both sides. So v plus 30 equals 64. V is equal to, subtract 30, 34. Nice and easy when it's linear. 2 more. It's isolated already. So we're going to go ahead and square both sides. I'm going to move this up. So that gives us 35 plus 2p equals p squared. You have to set it equal to 0, so I'm just going to move everything to the other side. So that's minus 2p minus 35. Okay, subtracted 35, blah, blah. So we've got negative 35 and negative 2. So negative 7 and 5. So 0 is equal to p minus 7. P plus 5. So 7 and negative 5. We should see the red flag here already, because if we put this into the original, it's going to equal negative 5. So that one's not going to work, big red flag. The other one, we'll check to see. 35 plus 2 times 7 has to equal 7. Well, that's 49. Square root of 49 does equal 7. So 7 works. We can't have a negative answer. So that one's wrong. And the last one more factoring one. So we're going to square both sides. So 30 minus x is equal to x squared. Set equal to 0. Remember to switch the signs when you move it to the other side. Negative 30 and 1. So 6 and negative 5. So x plus 6. X minus 5. So x equals negative 6, red flag. X equals 5, big red flag. Because if you put it up there, you'd get negative 6. That doesn't work, so that's not a solution. 30 minus 5 is 25. Does 25 equal 5? It does. So your solution is there. And that's it, I think. I don't think there's any more. I think just the answer key. And hopefully I've got all these right. I did go kind of fast, so I apologize up front if some of them, they're going to be right. The answer key is probably going to be wrong. I'm going to go with that. The answer key is wrong. Notice that we don't have any, like the square root of 30 minus x equals x minus 4. we practiced those yesterday, and we did some of those within our assignment, but that will not be part of the quiz. So there's your review. Quite a lengthy review, but that's it. Test is about half the length.